Before we talk about fire prevention, I'd like to ask you about the participation of our firefighters in hurricane relief efforts. How does all that come about?
The Milwaukee Fire Department, we are so proud, and I know the community is proud of our firefighters who volunteered and they were deployed down to the Gulf Coast in the first week of September. That began because a call came from FEMA at the national level almost immediately after the hurricane hit. And a call came to assemble 2,000 firefighters in teams of 2 from across the country to respond. And in the Milwaukee Fire Department, when we organized that response, we solicited our 1,000 members, and immediately within a day we had 120 firefighters and paramedics of every rank that wanted to go. We deployed a total of 20 personnel. They are on a 30-day mandatory assignment in that region, and we expect them to serve a period of time from the first week in September to the first week in October. They're deployed right now. During that time period, they have been deployed to serve the public in that area. They're using the skills that they learned here and that our citizens enjoyed every day of community service, and they've been handing out meals and that assignment and handing out water. And I received a phone call early in their assignment from an elderly woman who just wanted to call and thank the citizens of Milwaukee and the Milwaukee Fire Department for those firefighters that were from Milwaukee that stumbled upon her home and helped her put a tarp on her roof to keep the weather out of her home that was heavily damaged. We're so proud of those firefighters. It truly reflects the great character and quality of personnel that we have here that serves the city of Milwaukee.
Are they doing emergency medical type services and firefighting services as well?
Here is what's so interesting with that assignment, Tom. When these firefighters stepped forward and volunteered, at that time FEMA didn't have really good information as to what the assignment would be, and they gave us a pretty broad overview. It may be actually doing light search and rescue or providing first aid. It may be doing paperwork and processing people into the system to allow them to start to get some benefits. But attached to that was a list of things that they suggested they bring along, including a sleeping bag and bug repellent and first aid kits for themselves, because they defined early on that likely they would be living in very difficult conditions, literally under the stars at night. But even with that, our firefighters, they stepped up and they wanted to help out. The reports we've gotten almost daily from that group have been incredibly positive. They're doing good things in that region, in that area between Hattiesburg, Mississippi, and the Mississippi River, in the Biloxi and Pascagoula, Mississippi area. Total of 20 firefighters from Milwaukee are doing great things in their area.
There have been some criticisms and some comments about our disaster preparedness overall because of some of the problems associated with the hurricane relief effort. But locally, we have a lot of preparedness training, don't we, whether it's for terrorism or any other emergency?
Right. I know what's happened as a community, and I think as a society after September of '01, we put a lot of emphasis on terrorism preparedness. And the real focus probably should be broader from that time and even today, that it's community preparedness. It's preparedness at a very small scale in your own home. Just like we are prepared for fire safety, we have to be prepared when a storm comes through and maybe damages our home or takes our electricity away for a long period of time. And it does refocus that emphasis on preparedness for a community. I know in the city of Milwaukee we have a great relationship between the primary agencies that support preparedness and public safety. And within government, it's the Milwaukee Police Department and the Milwaukee Health Department and the Milwaukee Fire Department and all the cabinet heads. Each agency plays a very defined role of preparedness. And then we have great private partners, some nonprofits like the American Red Cross and the Salvation Army. And we've enjoyed many, many positive meetings and training sessions and exercises that we've all participated in over the last year, where we've really refined what role people play and what their accountability is, so that as a metro Milwaukee area, and specifically the city of Milwaukee, that we maintain a high level of preparedness, again, regardless of the event.
We talk about preparedness now with prevention, and it is October, Fire Prevention Month or Awareness Month. Why is it important that we have a designation like that? We've had one for many years now.
Right. That's somewhat tradition in the fire service is that we identify the month of October, and in Milwaukee we'll be identifying a week in October as Fire Prevention Week. We just try to redirect that focus or that energy to making sure our community and our families are safe and prepared from fire. But I've said before, Tom, and you've heard it, that we have to be prepared and aware of our safety every single day. One of the reasons the Milwaukee Fire Department is engaged in getting that message out during October is because of the upcoming season. We know historically that most of our fire events, our structure fires, our home fires where somebody dies in a fire, occurs during a period of time from October into late spring. So this is just a natural time every year to create that awareness and remind our citizens that they cannot take their own safety for granted. They have to get into their homes, they have to do a room-by-room assessment. They have to ensure that those basic things like having a front door on your home are in place, as is a smoke detector being in place, as is having a plan in your home to get out of a house if something bad does happen. So for the Milwaukee Fire Department, you'll see us during the month of October probably being a little bit more visible than you recognize in the past because we bring attention to ourselves during this period of time. During the month of October, we'll have firefighters out doing what we call firefighters out creating urban safety, or Project Focus, literally going door to door through an area of the city on the near north side this year. Firefighters will be going there reminding citizens of their obligation to support fire safety. Firefighters will be offering again to inspect their home and ensure they have a working smoke detector. Firefighters are going to be very straightforward in asking our citizens to be accountable. Everybody in the city of Milwaukee, you have to have a smoke detector. It's a law. And we shouldn't just, during Fire Prevention Month or week, or when a tragedy occurs in Milwaukee, be reminded of our own obligation to keep our family and our home safe.
As of this taping, the middle of September, we've had 11 fire fatalities in the city. Have many of those been connected to a lack of a smoke detector in the home?
Right. What we know, unfortunately, Tom, is that the story is very consistent over the last few years. Back in the late 1980s and early 1990s, many communities, they adopted pretty stringent programs and criteria for having smoke detectors. And we had a lot of emphasis even in Milwaukee back at that time. And what we found, though, was over a period of time, and not only in Milwaukee but across the country, we've kind of assumed that protection is always there. What we find in Milwaukee is that many home fires where somebody does die, smoke detectors are actually there, but they don't work. And the number one reason is because the battery is missing. It's been disconnected. It's been taken out. In fact, in 6 fires to date as of this broadcast in the second week in September, 6 fires claimed 11 lives in Milwaukee. And in 5 of these fires, 9 people died where there was no working smoke detector. Again, any fire department and the Milwaukee Fire Department and our firefighters want our citizens to know you have to have a working smoke detector. When smoke detectors are in place, when our firefighters can get notified early on, when a citizen knows something is wrong and they can get themselves out and dial 911 and get help, that enables firefighters to get there early on in that fire, to control that fire, maybe to the room where it began, to make sure everybody's out, to make sure that everybody's safe, and to minimize that fire damage. Fire threat in any community, including Milwaukee, is always significant. It's our job collectively with the community to minimize that impact on the community.
You mentioned the Focus program and how you would be out in the community. What if someone does not get called? They can contact the Bureau of Instruction and Training, I believe, and if they're eligible, get a detector from you.
Right. The first thing we want to emphasize is smoke detectors are just a basic component of anybody's home or even their apartment. And for $10, $15, $20, it's very inexpensive insurance for you and your family. And the technology has come a long way, even within a simple smoke detector, that now the detectors have what is called a hush button, where we all have had that experience where we're cooking and the smoke detector may go off because of some of that nuisance odor or smoke from cooking. The new technology includes now a simple button that if that does occur, I can press that button on the smoke detector and it will take a pause of recording the sensitivity of smoke. It will still work in case that continues to build, but it allows us to continue to go along with our cooking, maybe ventilate our kitchen area and keep that protection in place versus what many people do. They may have that nuisance smoke, disconnect their battery and then never put it back, and that puts that family at risk.
What are the major causes of fire?
What we find, Tom, is time and time again, it's consistent that there's children that play with fire, and we have educational programs to, obviously through the Survive Alive House, to help educate our kids as to why they shouldn't do that. But children playing with fire continues to be one of the leading causes. Use of smoking materials or cigarettes and smoking, that has decreased slightly, but again, that continues to be one of the risks in our community or any community. Intentionally set fires or arson fires are always, in an urban setting, going to be one of the causes of fire too.
Kind of an aside here, but the statistics surprised me when I saw that there were 450 some vehicle fires, passenger vehicle fires. I don't know if people realize that there are that many.
And not only the number of vehicle fires, but the dollar loss that's attributed to, almost as we're taping through a period of September, 9 months into the year in Milwaukee, having almost 500 vehicle fires in the community. And everybody knows that your vehicle is a prized possession for any family. And even with that event, there are some preventable things that a family can do, is making sure that my vehicle's secured, making sure that obviously if I park on the street, it's hopefully in a lit area as much as I can. If I have a garage, to utilize the garage and secure the garage to keep the vehicle secure. But unfortunately, in an urban setting like Milwaukee, yes, we do experience a lot of vehicle fires also.
Two tall 100-year-old chimneys just west of the 35th Street Viaduct are now the only visible reminders of what was once the bustling rail yards of a very busy Menominee Valley industrial and manufacturing area. But they won't be alone for long.
Count of three. 1, 2, 3. All right.
This was not just another groundbreaking on October 24th, but an important milestone in the revitalization of the Menominee River Valley. It's for a unique Italian villa-style building that will house the new headquarters and pizza production facility for Palermo Villa, the first company to begin construction in the new Menominee Valley Business Center.
Today is a special day for Palermo. Our new state-of-the-art headquarters and production facility symbolizes yet another chapter in our 41-year history. It represents our love of old world Italian fare and our drive to continually innovate and evolve with our customers' needs. While this new headquarters is certainly a milestone for our company, we take equal amount of pride in the fact that we are the first corporate citizen in a special part of our city and community, the Menominee Valley.
Before anyone even thought about creating a city here, the Menominee Valley was a vital resource for the native tribes of the area. Railroads and industries moved in, and by the early 1900s, what became the Milwaukee Road was the city's largest employer, providing some 5,000 jobs. Other large and small firms hired tens of thousands of workers, and neighborhoods grew up around the area. And jobs are the reason for the latest transformation of the valley.
I've been sending the message over and over again since I was elected mayor that the city of Milwaukee is open for business. That what I'm interested in is good family supporting jobs, having businesses located here in the heart of the city, in the heart of the metropolitan area, close to where the people who need jobs live. And that is why the Menominee Valley is so important. And that's why the Faluca family and the whole team that put this together, I think, is way ahead of the curve. This facility is going to employ people who will live in close proximity to this wonderful site. It's going to make it easier for them to get to work. It's going to be easier for them to support their families. They are going to be adding to the wealth of the city. They are going to be adding to the safety of the city. And I am extremely thankful that the Falucas decided that they wanted to remain in this great city.
The Palermo Pizza facility will be located just east of 35th Street in Menominee Valley Business Park. The 140 acres of planned industrial development and open green space is located just east of Miller Park and just west of the Folk Corporation, itself a fixture in the valley for over 100 years. It's one of the city's most talked about revitalization efforts.
This is a major state investment in growth in this area. The Menominee Valley has the potential to become a true hub of economic activity where thousands of high-end jobs can flourish. And I have directed the state agencies to work constructively and creatively with local partners to make the potential of the Menominee Valley a reality. So today we celebrate a great success in that effort. And I am pleased to announce that $22 million in new market tax credits will be allocated to Palermo properties. These tax credits will help pay for the construction of this 150,000 square foot manufacturing facility and its new equipment. In addition, the Department of Commerce will provide a $750,000 loan to further assist the project, complementing the other assistance from the City of Milwaukee and the Milwaukee Economic Development Corporation. These investments will secure Palermo's ongoing construction of a new plant that will create more than 150 jobs with full health benefits right here in the heart of the city.
Environmental cleanup and land development has been going on for several years. Access to the valley is being improved on its main street. A roundabout at the intersection of 25th and Canal Streets was dedicated recently, marking the end of reconstruction of the existing stretch of canal. Work continues on the section from 25th to Miller Park and is expected to be completed by spring. The project literally and figuratively paves the way for the largest industrial redevelopment effort in the city's history by providing the needed infrastructure for commerce and recreation.
This is exciting not just for the city of Milwaukee, not just for Milwaukee County, but I think for this entire region. There are literally hundreds of thousands of people who travel through and by the valley each and every day. Well, the good news is we've got yet another example of what is happening here, and it's exciting, and it's something that's important not just to this specific piece of land, not even just to this neighborhood, but to this entire region. Because what we're saying is exciting things are happening here. Now's your time to get your piece of the action because many more exciting things are going to come into the future.
Barren and vacant were terms often heard in recent years for the valley, but with what is now happening throughout the valley from 6th Street to Miller Park, the once bustling Menominee Valley is on its way to its next major transformation.
This is just the beginning. This is just the beginning of what we're trying to do. There are 3 other sites right here west of 35th Street that are not on the market yet, but they soon will be. And for those of you who are looking for investment opportunities, you've come to the right place. This is where you want to create jobs. This is where you want to help families. This is where you want to help grow the Milwaukee economy.